Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Katie, and this is the Housewife Did It.
Pop Culture Edition.
All right. So, we got our second batch of RuPaul's Drag Racers. Did you have any immediate standouts?
Yes. Also, it made me feel stupid because I came on this podcast and I was like, they didn't make any mention of seven, where the rest of the seven were, and then they showed like a recap of week one, and it showed Ru saying like seven more queens will be joining you, and I was like, did I like miss that? Did they just put it in the recap? Like what?
Are they gaslighting me?
I did not hear them say that. We love Nymphia Wind in this household. We literally like that's what I was doing before we hopped on here, was watching yesterday's episode, and we got to the end of the ball. My husband said, "Where is the Taiwanese woman? Where is she?" I was like, well, "You have already seen her." But we stand a chaos goblin. We stand a Spanish messenger pigeon. Apparently, love Nymphia Wind.
Yeah. Competition. Now I will, full disclosure, I haven't watched last night's yet, so
the Spanish messenger pigeon probably doesn't make sense to you then.
It doesn't, but I'm guessing it's hilarious.
It was.
I trust you. But from like the intro of these seven, the part 2 of the premiere, competition wise, like I was very impressed with Plain Jane. But man, did I want to hate her.
Yes, she is such a mean girl. She gives like the worst parts of Relaska Talks, of Violet Chachki, and I'm a big fan of Violet Chachki, but she was a mean girl.
Yeah.
But did you see that? You didn't watch last night, so I'm guessing the answer is no. Plain Jane and Morphine are sisters.
What?
Yeah.
Very different vibe?
Yes. It's interesting.
Yeah. I do think that I could like Plasma, but I also wonder if I could get bored with Plasma.
Yeah. I think the only person I don't like is Maya. Yeah. I just am not super into it.
Yeah, but I am ready to see, because she's the one, right, that they are talking about, like she's the jumping one and the flipping one.
Yes.
So like, listen, I'm like down to wait to see her get to do those things. But yeah, so far I'm not impressed.
Not been impressed. Yeah. But so I won't tell you who went home this week.
Who was the purple one in episode 1? The purple face makeup.
A mandatory meeting.
Yeah, not impressed by her either. Well, I wasn't for that look.
Oh, she came and apologized to RuPaul for her makeup. Yes, she said it was so bad. She felt so bad. He said when they were like, like he like comes and like when they're making outfits and he like gets their ideas, she was like, he said, "You look much prettier today." And she was like, "I'm so sorry. I cannot believe that I went out there with makeup like that." She's like, "I will do better in the future." But I like a mandatory meeting as a whole. Yeah. But yeah, that was she knew it was rough. But yeah, so I won't tell you like who went home unless you want me to.
Whatever.
I mean, we're kind of here to give away things.
Yeah.
But so I'll tell you like kind of what changed on this episode first.
Okay.
So RuPaul revealed that yesterday's episode, today is Saturday, so yesterday, was the last one with Rada Queen.
Okay.
We're getting rid of Rada Queen.
So that was just like a premiere thing.
And he said like, I'm gonna bring it back for one more week. So it was like just the premiere. The two winners from week 1 and week 2 each got an immunity potion, and they get to decide.
Use it whenever, right?
And yes, and they can use it on someone else. It doesn't have to be on them. But much like Big Brother situations, they have to decide before they know who's in the bottom and who's in the top.
Survivor.
Yes. Yeah. So they each got an immunity potion. They can use it on whoever they want, whenever they want, but they have to decide before the even before commentary. So
wow.
they don't know
if a mandatory meeting comes out with some fucking makeup like that again, somebody please use it on her.
And then Rue gave them the results from the premiere episodes, Raid a Queen, and Plain Jane was terrified. She was like, "Oh my god, they're gonna know that I was shady," but it didn't say like who voted what. It just ranked them. It ranked a queen, order from 1 to 7. And so this time, obviously, there were 14 of them, so they had to rank order from 1 to 13 and then whatever. And the top 3 and the bottom 3 are the only ones that got critiques.
Okay.
Based on who they voted for. So this time they had to vote before critiques.
Okay.
Like just based on what they thought and what they saw. And then the top 3 and bottom 3 got critiques, and then everything else like carried on as normal. So Nymphia Wind won.
Nice.
Yes, it was a ball, and it was the mother of all balls. And the categories were Mother Goose,
cute
nursery rhymes. The second one was like famous mothers, and the last one was they had to take men's clothing and create a look. Okay. So it was like mother father was like the theme, and they had to take men's clothing, like construction work clothing, and make something. And so the bottom 3 were Maya, the one whose name sounds like chocolate
liqueur, Hershey liqueur.
Yes. And then the one that's from Mexico. I can't remember her name. I just remember that she's the first like queen directly from Mexico.
Hers like with a G or something? I don't know.
Maybe. But she was also in the bottom 3.
Okay.
And Maya did not end up in the bottom 2, which was ludicrous because I already thought she was not good. This was the worst so far I've seen from her. And then Hershey went home.
Okay.
Which I was sad about because I liked Hershey.
Yeah.
But
I wanted to see Cornbread Jete's sister make it further.
Know. One of my favorite things, I guess a spoiler alert, for the famous mothers, Tsunami Muse dressed as Candy Muse. It was so cute. But yeah, so I really liked the ball categories this time. But neither of the winners chose to use their immunity power, which is fine because I think they were like, I think at least one of them was in the top 3. But yeah.
Ooh. All right, we have a series of Bravo updates before we get into our big Bravo sections because Bravo's our life. So Sam and Corey have officially announced their breakup. Sam confirmed this on the Not Skinny But Not Fat podcast. So Sam has said that they broke up because he did not love her, and she says, like, I told him I loved him. He did not say it back. However, we do have proof from previous podcasts that Corey had been on, at least that Corey has been claiming for a while that he has told her he loved her. I guess he could have been straight up lying on those podcasts, but he said on podcasts before, we have both said I love you. She is much better at saying it frequently than I am. I don't say it that much, but I have told her I loved her. So
I wonder if she means like the first time she said that he just kind of like.
Well, sure. And like when she said to him, like, are you my boyfriend? And he said, technically, I guess we are. Like, If that's the way he also handled like a first I love you, like did
Right.
she say I love you and he was like, I I get that
Yeah.
you would love me. Like did he say something fucking
Yeah.
weird?
The part where she talks about him saying, "Guess we're shitting," in terms of making their relationship official was so sad. And
Yeah.
I don't know the name of the
I don't
host of the
either.
podcast, but she was like, I remember that now that you're saying that. And like, oh my God, like thinking on that and like imagining that I'm the one he's talking about, like that's horrific. Like,
Yeah.
that's horrible that he would say.
Yeah. And I saw like a reel put together of like that conversation on the podcast and then like a clip from when it happened on Winter House. And it was like so horrendous. Like the way
Yeah.
that he, first of all, like the way he even spoke to her face when he said, like,
Right.
technically, I guess we are. And she like climbs into bed and is like, okay. And he's like,
Yeah.
that seemed so high school. And she's like, well, I know, but that's why I didn't want to do it. And it's
Yeah.
like, he's coming for you. Like like
Yeah.
that would feel like shit. But then yes, to have, and like we talked about before that like apparently they were talking every day about this Malia stuff. What I would have been talking to his ass about every day is his confessionals.
Right.
That he
'Cause
literally went on his
that's the
confessionals and he
problem.
said,
Right.
yes, he said, no man is going to make things official until he absolutely has to.
False.
So while I don't want to lose Sam, I am going to push this out as long as possible. Dude, fuck off. Like, I would be pissed.
Yeah.
This is the man I love and I got to watch that back. All while he's trying to convince me he wasn't trying to hook up with people there.
Right.
Come on.
I wonder
now.
if they talked about all of it every day.
Sure. Yeah. Just something new came up for her every day.
Like when she says
You
we
know,
talked
now
about it every day,
I'm
she
remembering
meant
that you
Winter
said.
House as a whole.
Yeah.
We talked about it every single day.
Yeah.
Miserable.
I bet. Also, Lisa Vanderpump and Ken Todd are being sued for unlawful termination after allegedly firing staff who spoke poorly about the working conditions at TomTom. The suit also claims that these staff were then blacklisted by defamatory statements to future employers by Ken Todd. So I don't know if these are like just like places they knew they were gonna apply and Ken was like, don't hire them, or if they just mean like he kind of went around to all restaurant businesses in the area and was like, these people suck. So
yeah,
not good. Something About Her continues to face delays because of city requirements. Ariana did mention this in an onstage interview, but is being quite careful in how she explains this because she actually said, like, I don't want to piss the city off. So
yeah. Why would you?
I will wait. They can just take their time. It's great. Whatever.
You do, city.
Yeah. And then we
here when you need me.
Yeah. I did hear that they're having to rip up their entire floors now, which means they have to like move all the furniture out, move like that just sounds awful, but which also sucks because Ariana's in New York right now. But
right.
We also finally get a promo for The Valley, the Vanderpump Rules spinoff that we've all been waiting for. It is coming this spring. I wonder if that'll be like about when we're wrapping up Vanderpump. If it'll be like, because I told you that Kristen Doty said it'll be like a lead in. So I bet that's like exactly what they're gonna do. It'll do what Beverly Hills did to Vanderpump back in the day.
That we can never find again.
Yeah. It is very clear that Jax and Brittany are the stars, the absolute main focus of the show, and everything else is around them. And they are advertising it as a show about adulting. And I do think it's like an interesting like demographic, like it's like different. Like, we have these, like, shows about the 20-somethings, and then we have these shows about the housewives, and, like, this is kind of the middle, right? Where, like, people are just starting to own homes, just starting to have kids, and, like, it's different than, like, Southern Charm, although it may be, like, the same age group, but no one on Southern Charm is doing those things.
No. Certainly not
but,
our thing.
No. So, yay, that'll be exciting. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how excited I am because I'm like, half the people on it, I don't know them at all. Yeah. But I guess we'll see. Dumois posted that there will not be a winter house in 2024, that the show is taking a break. I obviously don't know, like, the evidence for this. Like, is it a break? Is it over? I think, like, it's clear that, maybe not in a bad way, but I think it's clear that with this last season, they were trying something new and, like, trying to see how it would go with the show being, like, a crossover type show instead of trying to, like, make a new ensemble cast, like, out of Amanda and Kyle's friends, you know? And so I wonder if maybe that didn't go as well as they thought, or
they were like, we've ruined enough relationships.
Yeah.
Between, like, Lindsay and Jason, Sierra and Austin, Lindsay and Austin, Sam and Corey. This is enough.
Yeah.
On Below Deck Med, this is, like, kind of happening the last 2 weeks. Luca, who is the bosun, is telling Captain Sandy that he has been texting Katie Flood and that she may come visit. And Sandy is immediately all over this. She's obsessed. She's like, look at you. You're blushing. You're so cute. You're in love. She's thriving with this gossip she has made up in her head. Yeah. So then she calls him out in front of everyone, including the girl he has been hooking up with, for having a crush on Floody. She's like, he really likes her. Like, he thinks she's so cute. She's going to come visit him. He wants to date her. He's in love. And Jessica, who has been hooking up with Luca, is sitting there like,
that's interesting.
Well, because also Captain Sandy, she's calling her his girlfriend.
Oh.
Also, like, when she's talking about this, she's like, oh, are you texting your girlfriend? And Jessica's like, what?
Wait.
So now Jessica is not talking to him, and he's, like, trying to win her back. She, like, literally, like, will not speak to him, so he's, like, texting her all the time, and, like, I know you're mad at me, but, like, she was joking, like, she was making fun of me because she thinks I have a crush on this girl. I don't, like, she made it up. And they, like, even told Captain Sandy, like, you got him in trouble, and she's like, I didn't know he was hooking up with somebody. That's not my business. Like, how was I supposed to know? But the whole time he is texting Jessica and trying to win her back, he is still texting and flirting with Katie Flood and Natalia, who was previously a stewardess on the boat, but left because Toomey and Kyle were mean to her.
Okay.
So they have, like, a little bit of, like, a flirtationship, but Natalia is dating someone, like, very seriously. And her boyfriend wants an open relationship, so she was kind of, like, flirting with Luca to, like, see how she liked being in an open relationship, and they, like, made out, but then she told her boyfriend, and he was like, what the fuck? And she was like, what do you mean, what the fuck? Like, you had sex with someone 2 days ago who wasn't me.
This is what we were
told
doing.
me about it. What's happening? But she doesn't like it, and so she was like, never mind, I'm good on this. But now that she's off the boat, she keeps texting Luca, and she's like, I miss your face. Like, wish we could hang out again. Like, next, like, if I come back, like, come visit me and stuff. And, like, he's, like, sending her pictures from the boat. They're, like, flirting a lot. So it's not just Katie Flood. It's everybody.
Everyone. All right. Now, I've seen multiple claims that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce had their first fight after the Chiefs lost their Christmas game. apparently sources say that Travis snapped at Taylor and her feelings were hurt. But I just want to ask, how could we possibly know that? They've been together since approximately the end of summer.
Right.
How would we possibly know that this is their first ever fight?
Mm-hmm.
And also that it even happened.
Right.
And why do we think we are entitled to know this much? I understand that the sources could be friends of theirs. I do have this feeling that Taylor is smart enough, or maybe it's not about that. Maybe these people are just scummy, but I feel like she surrounds herself with people that she knows are not gonna go to the tabloids.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just I don't care if they had a fight.
Yeah, it sounds silly to presume that we know that information and that we care.
Yeah.
Silly. Mean Girls was so good.
Mm-hmm.
We went and saw it last night, but I want to talk about the media attention it has been receiving. So, first of all, TikTok does not like Ngowri's vocals compared to Broadway Katie's, like Sabrina Carpenter.
Right.
And it is now a trending sound on TikTok to make fun of Ngowri's versions of the songs and how lackluster they are compared to the Broadway versions. It's like Stupid with Love and Revenge Party specifically that they'll play Ngowri's version and people will be and then they'll do the Broadway version and they're really into it.
Yeah.
Here's my hot take on that. I think because this is a movie,
mm-hmm.
and Ngowri had the opportunity to downplay the vocals,
mm-hmm.
because we could actually read her expression. She didn't have to be belting for us to understand that she was upset. You could see it on her face. And I actually like the downplayed version of Stupid with Love because it gave a daydreamy feel. It reminded me of I Can Hear the Bells from Hairspray. And in Revenge Party, I think if she had been belting her, the ending of Revenge Party, in addition to that camera angle, it would have been a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could see on her face that she was getting delusional.
Yeah.
We didn't need her to be screaming it, but a lot of people are also saying it's not fair to compare her vocals to someone like Sabrina Carpenter who can belt. I don't think that that's the problem. I just don't think that it
the
needs
setting
to
is
be
different.
Right. I don't think it needs to be as dramatic in the vocals because we can see more clearly how she's feeling because it's a movie.
Well, also
not
that's
on a stage.
Just the nature of Broadway is that it is more everything more.
And then the other thing that's getting media attention, do we think Renee Rapp needs media training?
No.
I agree. However, people are bringing up the fact that Renee Rapp, a white woman, is being defended on her lack of media training because it is real and raw and funny, while Rachel Zegler, a woman of Colombian heritage, had petitions going around for her to be fired from her role as Snow White for her lack of media training, specifically for saying that the OG Snow White was outdated, which Renee has also said of the original Mean Girls. So people are saying they literally have said the exact same thing, that the original versions of these films were outdated. They needed to be redone. They were no longer politically correct or relevant to what we know to be true in society, and we needed a better version of those things. And when when Rachel Zegler said it, a petition went around to have her fired from her role. But when Renee Rapp said it, she's the queen of feminism. what do you think of that comparison?
I could be wrong. So like this is like not a rhetorical question, but like are the people saying those things about Rachel Zegler and the people who are like, oh my God, never give Renee Rapp a PR team, like, are those the same populations of people? Like, I guess I just don't think that, like, I wasn't under the impression that, like, it was feminists and progressives that were mad at Rachel Zegler, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think I have seen it a little bit from the same population. Like, people, like, on TikTok were, like, saying, like, if Rachel Zegler didn't like the original Snow White, then, like, why would she sign up to be Snow White? Like, that's, like, silly.
That's
and, like, why would she even want to do that role? Like, she knew what she was signing up for, and, like, that there were better people up for the role. And then I see, like, also on TikTok, people being like, no, this shit's hilarious. It could be different demographics, but I'm seeing it in the same place. And I've seen, and that's where I've seen people say, like, okay, like, which is it? Are we praising them for their lack of media training, or are we firing them for it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my take on it is that, like, I was under the impression that the only people that had a problem with Rachel Zegler were, like, Moms for Liberty type people who are like, me, I want my kids to go see Snow White, but I don't want it to have been wokeified, basically. So, like, if other people, if, like, wokeified people are saying that about Rachel Zegler, then, like, I think that's stupid. Like,
yeah,
the whole reason, whether she's saying this on a press tour or not, like, the whole reason we've had, like, a change in The Little Mermaid is because of, like, a change in times and, like, a need for representation. So, like, this idea that, like, you can't be in remakes unless you want them to be exactly what they were to begin with, then why are we making remakes? So, like, I don't think that's silly for someone to say, no, I'm excited to be in 2024 Snow White because 1950 Snow White isn't hitting. It ain't hitting.
Yeah. I do think that I have seen it from the same general group of people on my TikTok. But also, I am not the one who made that comparison. I also saw the comparison on TikTok, and I thought it was an interesting question to raise. Because I do remember when the interview came out with Rachel Zegler, where she said that Snow White was, like, outdated, anti-feminist, creepy vibes. People were like, why is she doing it? And now I'm seeing, like, and, like, truthfully, it's not like people, like, it's not like I can see who the person is that's saying it. It's like people making edits of these interviews. And the captions are, like, giving their opinions. And so I don't know for sure if it's the same group of people, but they're all popping up on my For You page. And so I kind of just assume they're made by the same kind of people.
Well, and I'm not really, like, saying whether it is or not anymore. At this point, my take is that anyone saying that about Rachel Zegler is silly. Like, so no, I will not take back that I think Renee Rapp telling fucking Andy Cohen that she's ageist was hilarious. And, like, I you know, like, I'm not gonna say, like, I think she's funny, but I also think, you actually think Emma Watson, when she did, like, the fucking Beauty and the Beast remake, do you think she was like, oh my God, no, it's not Stockholm Syndrome at all, it's a beautiful love story? No, that's not what she was thinking. She was thinking, I'm in this Disney remake, it's a little bit modernized. Like, you know, they're not going into this thinking, like, I think we should really glorify kidnapping. Like, so to think that, like, anyone who takes a part, like, fundamentally agrees with their movie in, like, every way and every iteration that it's ever had, like, that's silly.
Okay. Moving on.
Woo, woo.
Also, by the time this episode airs, we will have seen the first episode of Joey's season of The Bachelor. I got a little nervous because I was seeing a lot of clips from The Bachelor, and I was like, did I miss it? Like,
yeah.
But like people were like, oh my gosh, like you're already my favorite to people. I was like, what?
How do
But
you
no,
know that?
it's airing on Monday. So if you're listening to this on podcast yesterday. But yeah. So we'll cover that.
Yeah. All right. I did venture into episode 2 of Rachel Goes Rogue. So I'll give you the highlights. She says that while she was in treatment, originally Sandoval had asked her, this is like all kind of following this theme of like, how much did Tom Schwartz know? How involved was he? And she says that at first Sandoval told her to send any letters he was writing to her to Tom Schwartz's house. He did later have to tell her, never mind, Schwartz does not want us to do that, which like certainly Tom Sandoval just like didn't ask him first.
Right.
And then later he was like, please don't do that.
Yeah.
So then he told Rachel to send all letters to his own home, which she was like, like, I don't love that idea. Like, I don't want Ariana to see these. And he was like, no, my assistant will get them first. Like, she won't see them. Of course, we know that Ariana did see them, and Rachel fully believes that Tom hoped for Ariana to see them. So
I would believe that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. She also confirms that Tom Schwartz knew the entire time. And by entire time, she does mean he found out either the night that it happened or the next morning. She called Tom Sandoval the next morning and he was at Schwartz's house saying, this is what me and Schwartz think we should do. So she literally said he had planned this all out with Tom Schwartz before I had even spoken to him after we fucked. So she also says that Tom Schwartz's house was their safe space to meet up throughout the entire affair. She confirms that when we saw Sandoval trying to get the cameras down at the reunion to talk to her alone, she says that it was to make sure that she would stick with the dates because Schwartz had already fucked them up by saying, like, I found out in August. And she said, like, he was pissed. And so he was trying to make sure she's going to stick with, he didn't know till January.
Yeah. I think at this point we've learned we cannot believe a word Tom Schwartz says about anything. Like, I was already leaning in that direction, but finding out he made out with Sheena at any point in time, anything he says is bullshit to me. But do you think he will say anything like in response to this? Like, do you think that he'll like confirm or deny?
I don't really know. I mean, if this had come out before they had even started filming, it maybe would have come up, or maybe he'll do it on like Watch What Happens Live, but I don't think he's gonna like make a statement. I don't know. Yeah. I also think that the way they're all, maybe Schwartz isn't, but like the way that they're all treating this new podcast endeavor of hers is very like they aren't taking it super seriously, I guess.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's very easy for him to be like, oh yeah, that, like, and to kind of play it off like no one really believes anything Rachel says anyway. I
could see Andy like asking at the reunion or something.
Maybe. I mean, possibly. I think like at this point, I don't know. I don't know how likely Andy is to ask because I feel like everyone already like kind of believes that he knew, you know?
Yeah.
At least longer than they let on. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I do wonder because I think she's going to continue to make a lot of claims. So I don't know if other people are going to have to make statements. Allie was asked at like this premiere they did last week, how she feels about the fact that Rachel didn't come back on the show, but now is doing a podcast. And like, you can tell what answer they're wanting out of her is like, well, she wanted to tell her story. She should have just come on the show. But instead, she said, no, I totally understand why she didn't come back. She would not have had an opportunity to tell her story. And I think if she wants to tell her story, she can do that in whatever way she chooses to. So,
I love Allie.
I know. And she also did kind of, when they asked about Graham or Hippie, she did say, like, when you surrender your dog, you don't have a choice anymore. So, like, a little bit of her is also, like, not giving Rachel, like, too much room. But
I think Allie is, like, too good for this show.
Yeah.
Like, she's so, like, she's kind, I think is one thing. But she also is, like, so reasonable. Like, I will never forget, like, I think all men should be in therapy, especially James.
Yeah. Rachel tells us that, which we talked about last week, that the next day after hooking up with him, she went to film with Ariana. They even shared an Uber on the way over. So let's rewind to Rachel telling us that they weren't actually that close of friends and they never hung out alone, except they Uber alone together to all cast events. So let's just be clear there. But she says they got to this dinner drinks night. She didn't say where. I don't know if it was at Schwartz and Sandy's or what, but she said that Ariana said, every time I'm at this place, someone tells me something bad, like I slept with your boyfriend or something. And Rachel was obviously mortified, and she says that she started drinking a lot, and then there are a lot of videos of her very drunk that night. And I kind of want to go back and rewatch season 10 again. I know. Because I'm like, is that the night that she went up to James super drunk at like that little table and was like, James, like, I need to talk to you. Like, I'm just like, I want to know when it was. We also get some tea about the kiss with Tom Schwartz. So Rachel tells us that her original move on Tom Schwartz at the beginning of the season was an idea that she came up with for a storyline, because she knew, like, what's my story this season? And she talks a lot about, like, on these shows, like, you have to keep yourself relevant. Like, if you want to be in the main cast, like, you kind of have to come up with your own, like, where am I headed this season? And so she thought, like, okay, people were already speculating that we made out at Coachella, which isn't true, but let me make that my storyline for season 10. Strange choice.
I would argue, though, that no one else on this show, like, or not everyone on this show is thinking that way. Like, at least not, like, intentionally. Like, I don't think that, like, Katie Maloney was like, I'm gonna get divorced for the plot.
No, but I mean, Rachel didn't break up with James for the plot either. I think she's saying, though, that, like, for people like her, who don't have, like, a obvious space in the cast anymore, like, without being with James, why is Raquel here? You know,
she still worked there.
No, I know, but I'm saying she is saying she had to keep herself. She talked about, like, Peter, that, like, Peter has never been, like, a main cast, and he's never been, like, super relevant. So she even alleges that, like, there may have been a little bit for him in going on the dates with her, that, like, this will get me on the show a little more. And, like, I disagree. I think that, like, probably it goes on more than we think it goes on. But yes, I mean, I think people like Katie and the Toms, and, like, when Stassi was on, like, no, I don't think they had to think about it that much. But I think Brock does. Like, I think Sheena is always thinking about it, whether she has to or not. But I think that, like, these people who could easily be not rehired or could just not be that interesting, I get that, I guess. I just don't get why you thought that was it. But I guess she thought, let me tie myself to one of the primaries who's been here since season 1. Like, I guess she just thought if she linked herself to Tom Schwartz.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I don't know why you thought Tom Schwartz was like the plot thickener that you needed. Like, he's so boring.
Yeah.
But she then says that when Katie told her, please don't do that she decided, I'm going to respect Katie's boundary about Schwartz. And then she says, production said to her, mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. This is reality TV. We're not respecting boundaries around here. That's not entertaining. And she said, whatever, but I'm not making the first move again. So then, fast forward to Mexico, she says they're at this white party. She looks over at a 2-person table set up with cameras and lights, and they say, Rachel, you should go over there to shoot a scene. And she's like, awesome. Like, I know what's happening. And so she goes over to the table with Tom Schwartz. The kiss scene happens, blah, blah, blah. So that, I guess, what she's saying is that production said to Schwartz, you should do this. It'll make good TV. And she's not going to make the first move again. So you need to do it. But then, you know how, like, they go from, she says, like, let's go somewhere more private because everyone cheered. And they go, like, behind the wall or whatever. And she says, like, it was actually funny because production wasn't expecting us to move over there. So they're, like, filming us from, like, standing in the pool. Like, they're, like, annoyed because this is not what they expected. But then she says Sandoval army crawled over to them in that second location and cracked them 2 beers and cheers to them, like, for their kiss. So weird, dude.
Can you imagine your boyfriend cracking 2 beer, like pouring one out for you for kissing someone else? Kissing his best friend?
Yeah. Well, and I did say to Billy, like, do you not think production thought, like, is he, like, in on this? Like, why is he doing that? But I do think that's probably pretty normal for Tom to, like, go over and, like, crack a beer when Schwartz kisses anybody.
Right.
So they probably didn't really think anything of it.
Schwartz is his business. Like,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He owns him.
Yeah. She then says that as she was walking away from the white party, production stopped her and said, do you want to go on a glamping trip for your birthday? And she said, obviously, I've been asking y'all if I could go on a glamping trip for my birthday. And so she says that essentially this felt, at least, like it was a reward for her making out with Schwartz, making the good TV they asked her for. So here, we'll give you your glamping birthday trip. So on the one hand, like, I do believe her.
Mm-hmm.
On the other, like, it just feels a little bit like regurgitating Bethany Frankel talking points. So I don't really know if I believe her. But
I believe that she believes that. I don't know, do I believe that she has always believed that? Like, that she has always thought it was a reward, or that someone like Bethany Frankel said, do you think that that was a reward? And she was like, shit.
Yeah.
I think it was. True. I think that at this point, what she says on Rachel Goes Rogue, I don't think she's lying about any of it. Yeah. I think everything she's saying at this point is true. I just, like, when it comes to, like, the production aspect of it, I do agree. I don't know how much of it is, like, fully true, or how much of it, like, she believes is true because she has been on this reality reckoning train. It's and true. Like, now she believes that they're, like, evil. Yeah. Which, like, I'm not saying that, like, that they don't plot, like, put things together for them and make plots up. Like, of course they do. But, like, how much of it is really as, like, strategic and, like, shady as she thinks it is, and how much of it is she, like, looking back on and she's like, now that I'm out of it, like, I think it's their fault.
Yeah, and I do think, like, when you see that scene in Mexico, like, the table is kind of by itself. It is well lit. It is, and I don't really think about those things much. I should more think, like, if that was supernatural, why did they already have cameras ready?
Yeah.
It's like those moments like in Salt Lake City when they are running to pick up the cameras to hear Heather Gay, like those you're like, they didn't see that coming. But do I think it's possible that Tom Schwartz could have given them a heads up and said like, okay, I'll make out with her tonight, like you're gonna want to catch it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's also possible that she's correct about the timing, and it was very shortly after the kiss that they offered her the glamping trip. And yeah, you're right. Like maybe she's just putting things together now, and she's like, oh, like that was them saying like, good job. Now you can have what you want. And
it might have been.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah. So Southern Charm reunion part 2.
Woo!
Southern
That's
people
it, right?
in general.
It's only 2 parts, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought you meant this is the last thing we're talking about. I was like,
and goodbye.
Blatantly not. So we'll breeze through the Southern people. We learned that Rodrigo is the man on the show with the longest term relationship with his boyfriend Tyler. And he gave the men some advice on making a relationship last. Basically, he said that they need to stop fiddle farting around with these Charleston women.
Yeah.
And just pick somebody and cut it out.
Stop.
We also learn that Olivia has a new man. His name is Alex, and he lives in Dallas, and he is friends with Austin, apparently. Shep says that if Taylor were the one who hooked her up with a guy with a private jet, she would have forgiven her as easily as she forgave Austin.
Even though she had forgiven Austin before that?
I said, ooh, that's Shep Rose. Anytime he says something shady, I'm like, no room for this, because he's so awful. Like, it does not matter what he is shading someone for. There is no room for it. Also, Rodrigo talked more on that couch than he did all season, and he clearly does not like Olivia.
Yeah.
He kind of echoes Shep and talks about how much shit Taylor got after doing all she could to apologize. Olivia tells him to shut up, and he says, fuck you, Olivia. I was like,
it was a little rough.
My husband said, who is that guy? I said, Rodrigo. He said, he won't shut his mouth, will he? Like, I have never seen that man in my life. And he's just running his mouth. We did get some good like facial expressions from Rodrigo, but I was like, this is bold. From someone who had like what, 2 scenes this season. So then we get into the loss of Olivia's brother as well as Taylor's brother. Olivia said that her family was not doing well at the time that the reunion was filmed, at least, but that she was really grateful that everyone had rallied around her. But then in Jamaica, Taylor and Austin offered her no grace.
Which I was really proud of her for bringing that up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they were, like, really, like, coming for her in Jamaica and, like, all throughout the end of the season for just, like, not handling Taylor and Austin well.
Yeah.
And, like, this idea that she's going to be able to handle anything well right now, like, is silly. Like, y'all are saying, like, I want to be there for her about her brother, but she can't do this to me. Like, if you're going to be there about her brother, like, that's all consuming. Like, then you need to just be there for her.
Right.
You know,
especially like this was like what, like 2 weeks after, like you've had 2 weeks to see how it's affecting her, and it's not been good for her. Like, she's been struggling, and you know that. So like, pump the brakes a little bit.
And the idea that she would struggle with like this, although Taylor did not die, this like loss of a best friend at the same time that she loses her brother. And then we're like shocked that hits her harder than the loss of someone she already wasn't dating. Like, she doesn't care about Austin. Like, she just lost the two of the people closest to her in her life, back to back.
Yeah. Later in the episode, Olivia did say that she was sad she couldn't be there for Taylor as a friend when Worth passed away. but that she ultimately will never be friends with Taylor again. Venita tells Taylor not to let people beat her up and to stand up for herself. This is after Shep tells Taylor that silence is golden.
Just like Taylor's brother told her, what would Jesus do? He would be quiet.
Yeah. Leva tells her everything will be okay, and production tells her to just be honest.
Did I miss that?
It was in the in her
room.
Oh,
when she went back, yeah.
And she was crying after Olivia said they would never be friends again, and they were like, you just have to be honest. And I'm assuming they meant with your feelings. If she's saying she doesn't want to be friends again, you're this upset, just say I want us to be friends again. But I was okay, cryptic. Venita is crowned MVP friend of the season, and the women agreed that they don't want to see Taylor upset like she is, but that they are disappointed in her actions and need to see her grow.
Yeah. I am not a Taylor fan any longer, I guess. And I am usually a Madison fan, or at least this season I have been. But I did not like Madison's comment to Taylor when she said, listen, I don't think you're a bad person, but I have to keep you at arm's length. And at first Taylor was like, okay, that sucks, but okay. But then Madison's adds you just definitely won't be sleeping over at my house. Yeah. And I thought that was so rude. This idea that Taylor is just such a slut that she's gonna come over and sleep with your husband while you're home. What Taylor did was shitty because it was her best friend, and it was shitty because she lied to Olivia. But she slept with a single guy. Right. It wasn't shitty because she's just going and sleeping around. Right. She possibly slept with a single guy. I guess really all she allegedly did was kiss a single guy. But Austin's not nobody's husband. Yeah. What?
I think it was definitely out of pocket.
Yeah.
Of Madison, but also I think that Madison kind of didn't know what to do in that situation, because all of the other women do want to be friends with Taylor, and I really don't think Madison does.
Well, and but
then, I think that Venita and Leva are open to it, but Madison really doesn't want to be friends with her. Yeah. But it was definitely a weird comment. I was like, did I miss something? And then they made a reference to when JT told Shep, and he was like, Austin and Taylor had a sleepover. And I was like, is she making a reference to that? But again, technically, Austin and Taylor can have all the sleepovers they want. Yeah, it was weird. Andy tells Austin at one point that he is just like Shep. Ouch. JT then tells Craig that he should basically get out while he can of his friendship with Austin. Craig says that he thinks Austin has time to change before he fully becomes Shep 2.0. I beg to differ. I think he sucks. And then Olivia said that her body physically aches when she has to be around Austin.
Yeah.
Ooh. Andy asks JT asks if JT is Shep's new Craig, since he makes fun of him so much, and Shep says JT likes it. Craig says, that's what you used to say about me. I did not like it, though.
JT probably likes it just because it got him on the show, but then he's gonna get sick of it.
Taylor says that she doesn't like JT because he isn't mean to her, and I am so fucking sick of hearing her say this.
What do you mean by that? She said
she said she was like, Andy said,
why
do you not
boys.
why do you not like JT? And she was like, I would love to like the thing she said before, I would love to like JT, and Andy said is it because he's not mean to you? And Taylor said, yeah, I think that's why. I'm so sick of that.
Also, when you are announcing that you have a new boyfriend, though,
right? So that literally my first thought was, is Gaston mean to you? Is he just a meanie? He just I know like Shep was like often mean to her, but like it wasn't like relentless.
You're trying to sell us
like,
on this new
right.
guy.
I do think that there were times where I was like, she should not be dating Shep. He's not like treating her well, but it wasn't like relentless, like he was like constantly mean to her. Like, so
I feel like it was,
yeah.
though.
I
Like,
feel
behind
like
closed doors, I think it was.
maybe, but I don't feel like, yeah, you just told us you had a new boyfriend, and then you're like, I only like when boys are mean to me. Like, what? So everyone still thinks that Austin and Taylor fucked. Austin and Taylor continue to deny that they did not fuck. Then Austin says the reason he and JT got physical in the finale is because JT got rejected. And JT says, you pushed me because I got rejected? What?
Okay. But JT did literally say, I mean, it was in his confessional, but he literally said, now that Taylor has like isn't interested in me, I can't stop thinking about the fact that Austin did get to kiss her. And so like fuck Austin. So like really it is because he got rejected.
Yeah.
Obviously he can't, like, Austin's one that pushed him first. I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
But like you climbed up on that stool because you got rejected, but then the picture of Austin getting not rejected was just spinning around in your mind.
Right. Austin then says that we haven't seen enough of JT on the show yet to know that he is an asshole despite constantly calling himself a gentleman. And then Andy laughs at JT for saying he didn't think Austin would punch him and that he did not get in Austin's face. He was like, but you like wanted him to punch you, right? And he was like, what? No. And he was like, he laughed at him. He said, and then he said, come on. Andy said, be so fucking for real.
Yeah.
You put yourself in that man's face.
Yeah.
You started spouting shit to him that you knew was going to piss him off. What did you think was going to happen?
Andy was getting fed up too when he kept saying like, we're performing therapy here. We're doing a fuckboy exorcism. And Andy said, JT, we've been doing this for years with Austin. You are new here.
Yeah.
Like, we will try again next year. We'll do it every year. Like because JT was like, I think we're doing well because we're finally having serious conversations. And then it like pans back to like all the serious conversations over the years. Like, dude, Andy's like, stop trying to take my job.
Yeah. Did you watch What Happens Live that night?
No.
Andy did perform a fuckboy exorcism on Austin.
Nice.
It did not go well.
Nice.
The rules were like he would ask a question about JT and Austin had to answer nicely, or Andy would spray him with holy water while shouting the power of JT compels you. He got one nice answer out and then was soaking wet. And they also like lowered Austin's voice, so every time he talked it sounded like a demon. Yeah, it didn't work. So if Andy Cohen can't do it, you need to bow down.
JT.
Taylor and Shep both said that they still love one another, but Taylor said that she is no longer in love with Shep. Shep called her the one that got away. And then Craig said that he thinks they will get back together and get married, and let's fucking hope not. But on Watch What Happens Live, Leva and Austin also said that. Leva!
Here's my thing, is like, I think this like shows us, I don't really know how to word this, because like I was going to say this when it was just Craig, but then you added that now other people are saying it too. But like, I feel like this shows us how little Taylor matters to Craig and now to these other people, that like they're thinking like, oh, I kind of hope they get back together and get married because Taylor made Shep better. And so like, that's fine, I guess, to like hope that for your friend. But to hope that Taylor gets back together with and marries the guy who told her it was fun to cheat on her and screamed at her in front of everybody and then was like, this is just who I am, you can't change me. Like,
called her an idiot on national television.
Yeah, you want her to be with that guy just because it makes Shep better. And I think that like on one hand, like I get that's like a nice way to be a friend, that like Shep's having a hard time and like maybe he really could get better if he's with someone like Taylor. But like no one should have to be with Shep ever.
No.
Anyone.
I think like in the context of how Shep said it, like if there weren't this show,
Sure.
maybe he would be
but
different.
I think that's
I think that from what we've seen of their relationship, like we should not be wishing that on her.
No. And I did get,
and did she make him better if he's screaming at her in front of all of her friends, calling her an idiot? That's better.
Well, Craig was like, that's the happiest I've ever seen Shep, and like I think she made him very happy. But yeah, it is true that when he says like I think we would have made it if the show hadn't been here, I wonder what does that mean to him? Like does he mean I wouldn't be out drunk cheating on her if it wasn't for the show, or does he mean I wouldn't get caught if it wasn't for the show? It's because the show brings stuff up.
Right.
It becomes a fight. Like I don't know that it's like he actually thinks he would be a better person. I think he just wouldn't get in trouble.
Maybe. They ended the night with tinfoil hats and rum punch and juice for Shep. Cute. On Watch What Happens Live.
Do you think it was required?
I think it's interesting
like
that they already
Bravo
had it.
Con?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they already had the juice part for him.
Well, I mean, they probably do ask them, like, what do y'all want? And he probably just said, I don't want it. But I honestly feel like after BravoCon, like, maybe they were like, we are absolutely not giving you alcohol.
On Watch What Happens Live, Craig and Austin said that he, since the reunion, has only drunk beer. And that he has just gotten back from a wellness retreat in Costa Rica, and that he called them and told them he was like very excited about what he learned and what he gained there. And they said that he is like on the up and up, and that he has like so far stuck with this change, and it's not like full sobriety, but like the part that he said he would do, he is doing. So that's good, I guess. But they also said it is very like him to do something like go on a wellness retreat in Costa Rica and come back being like, I've changed. Yes. So I think that that's not super promising.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what they talked about when we first came back for this season, that he had like gone to
Austin. So moving on to Southern Hospitality. At some point, I guess Maddie and O'Sheen moved in together. I would love for us to go back and go over how that happened. I'm guessing that like when she broke up with Trevor, she moved into like O'Sheen's house. But I don't remember like him having his own house.
He lives with a bunch of other girls. Is like what they've shown before. Yeah, weird.
Also, but I want to know, like, of all the people you know, why him?
And why are they like such a team now? Like I saw a clip when she was like, they'll never let people like me and you be happy. Like, what does that mean?
Well, so she was actually saying that to Joe Bradley.
Oh yes, I remember. I did see Joe Bradley.
She was well, O'Sheen was following her. So it at first it looked like she was saying it to O'Sheen, but she was like pointing at Joe Bradley when she said it. So on this episode, we start by Maddie saying that Emmy should not be a manager because she is too much of a follower, which reeks of insecurity to me. Bradley and Chris is the general manager. He's not like a cast member, but he's on this episode quite a bit. Tell Maddie that Emmy did a great job while she was out. I will say Bradley definitely rubbed salt in the wound by telling her that Emmy could become a manager when Maddie decides to become a full-time DJ. Maddie said that Emmy doesn't know the first thing about being a manager. She doesn't bring any customers. She's a mediocre server. She said she doesn't know what to do if the fire marshal comes, if somebody breaks their leg. And Chris, the general manager, is like, I still am here, though.
Yeah.
Like,
she's never going to have to do this alone.
All she would have to do is say, Chris, somebody broke their leg. And I would know what to do.
And then after that one time, she would then know what to do.
Right. And then Bradley says, actually, Emmy has the highest sales in the restaurant. Maddie then says that she was under the impression that Joe Bradley was the one who filled in for her while she was gone, which is silly because Joe Bradley is a VIP manager with her every night. There are two of them every night together. And she tells Joe Bradley that Emmy is coming for her job, which of course Emmy walks in on. Like, production said, stand right here. Emmy, go get something. And like Emmy like comes in and she's like getting champagne and like passing it to other servers, and Maddie's like, we don't need to be giving that out for free. And Emmy was like, Chris told me to come get this. Like, I'm not like making this up in my head that this is what I'm doing. Our general manager told me to come grab this stuff. Like, yeah. And Maddie's like, oh my, okay. I'm really starting to not like Maddie.
I see this.
Yeah. Emmy then meets with Leva to talk about her opportunities to grow into a manager role, and Leva gives her the chance to act as manager again that night while Maddie is DJing the Pride after party. She's like, Maddie can't be the manager tonight because she's DJing. Why don't you step in again? Then Sally invites Joe Bradley to lunch to tell him everything, she says. So they sit down to lunch. Joe Bradley says, I want the truth. She says, that's why I invited you here. Then she says that he was aggressive with her when he asked about Gaston, and he says that he is very sorry that he made her uncomfortable. She admits that she did kiss Gaston and then apologizes for kissing Gaston and for lying. She asks if he still wants to work with her, which gave me the ick because I feel like she was asking if she was going to get fired. Yeah. And he had to be like, oh, no, like, you are great at your job. We will still work together. Like, it's you like can tell that he was like, oh, shit. Like, she thinks she's losing her job. Yeah. And then in his interview, he was like, this is why I can't date coworkers. Friend, she's not your coworker. You're her manager.
She is your employee. If you have the power to fire her,
she's asking if y'all can still work together. That's a problem. Yeah. In and of itself, because you have a power dynamic.
Yeah, it's almost as if we already knew this.
Right.
Bud.
So then Grace Lily wants to break up with Liam because she's realizing she's better on her own. So like last episode they got into this fight because he like found out she was like flirting with people. She says that she doesn't think he's her person and she cannot find her person if she's dating someone. Obviously.
That's true.
Yeah. That's true. So she then moved her cat and her vegan hot dogs out of his house while he was napping and left. While G. Lily and Maddie are like, they're best friends, and so like Maddie goes over to comfort her. They're like having a girls' day, just like talking about everything. Everyone else goes on a tiki cruise, and O'Sheen invites everyone to Miami, where he has gotten Maddie a DJ gig. And my first question was, what happens to the restaurant when everyone goes on the same vacation? But I remembered that this happened last season at one point. And also, in like the very next scene, every single one of them has the night off.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing that happens on Vanderpump.
Yeah.
Same thing that happened
in
season 1.
Other employees.
But it is different than, at least like, this isn't a feature that happens on Vanderpump. But in season 1, when they all went on vacation and Leva was like, you do realize like you still need to post and you still need to like tell people to come here. So
yes. So then Maddie goes to see Trevor. He is living alone in their house. He makes her dinner. And first of all, their microphones were turned up way too high because I could hear every chewing noise that both of them made the entire night. But while they're like having their dinner, everyone who has the night off for some reason is choosing to spend their time off at the restaurant they work at. Silly to me, but whatever. Um, the girl who Bradley had trained in that like first episode who made out with Trevor, her name is Sammy, came to hang out at Republic with everyone who was off duty. And she shows everyone videos of her and Trevor out the night in question flirting after meeting at Republic. So bold, so crazy. She said that they met and they were like hit it off, and he was like, we have to leave, like we cannot stay here. And then in the videos she's like grabbing at him, and he asks her like, are you trying to grab my penis? And then at one point he starts twerking on her in one of the videos. So she's showing everyone because nobody believed her, or they weren't sure. Joe Bradley, he's like, Maddie's my best friend. He wanted to call her right then and tell her, but instead he waited until the next day when they were setting up for Pride, and she is pissed at him and all of her friends.
Do
She's
we like actually believe this girl made out with Trevor?
I don't know. So like I think that Maddie doesn't believe her.
Right. Do we?
I think that Maddie's reasons for not believing her are silly, because she heard it from two people that it's not true, and she was like, okay, great, not true. I genuinely don't know. I just like I really don't know.
Okay.
But so Maddie tells Joe Bradley that she's like sick of everyone talking about her relationship. She hates that everyone knew about this and didn't tell her until right now, that everybody's talking about it, and that she knew because he told her that he was flirting with that girl, and that's all you can see in the video. And so like she's like, I knew that part. I have moved on from that. He was honest with me about it. And then she says that she knows for a fact that they didn't kiss because Mikkel told her that they didn't kiss, and Trevor told her that they didn't kiss.
Mikkel, who wasn't there, but heard it from
Right.
Trevor.
Right. Mikkel, who heard it from Trevor,
Mm-hmm.
who told him, no, she didn't kiss me, she kissed my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, Mikkel and Grace Lily are like the only two people who like admit in their confessionals that they do not want Maddie and Trevor to break up.
Right.
So like, of course he wants to believe Trevor, and of course he's gonna tell Maddie to believe Trevor. So like that, I don't know if I think they made out, but I think that like she's brushing it off too quickly.
Yeah.
So she then yells at everyone. She tells them that they are not her friends and that she could do to all of them what they are doing to her relationship. We end right in the middle of a screaming match between Maddie and Bradley, where Bradley is like, you're right, I'm not your friend. I don't want to be your friend. I have not been your friend for a year because you did do this to me.
Yeah.
Like, and it was a lie. And he's like, you're running off telling people that I got head in an alley. Why would I do that? I don't want to get head by some dumpsters. And she's like, I fucking saw you. And like, that's where we end. Is in the middle of the Pride setup, a screaming match. And like, I don't know what's going to happen. But the other thing is that part of me does believe that Trevor made out with that girl because one, he has cheated on Maddie before.
Mm-hmm.
And two, like, knowing that he has cheated on Maddie before, watching him like flirt with a girl, and he's like, they're like walking, they left the restaurant together, they're walking alone in all these videos. Like, it's not super far-fetched to think that that situation ended in him kissing her.
Yeah.
And that he would leave that part out when he like was honest with Maddie about it.
Yeah.
But like, I get very like Tom Schwartz, Jax Taylor vibes from him, that like he just like, I think that he thinks if he's honest enough with her that it's good, and they're on the right track. But like, personally, I don't think they should have gotten back together after the first time he cheated on her. And
Right.
so, like, I don't think it's super off to think that he would have made out with somebody again.
Yeah. That's fair. Alrighty. On to Salt Lake City reunion part 2, which is not over. We have one more coming. How strange was it to learn that Monica's mom abandoned her? So she tells this story about how like her mom had abandoned her before for her career. And Andy says, "What career?" And she said, "To pursue a career on TV." Yo, that's crazy.
Apple does not fall far.
Mm-mm. But Linda, Monica's mom, does tweet after each and every Salt Lake City episode. Uh, and then they talked about the like when Monica's family canceled on seeing her in Bermuda. Monica says she's still not gotten any like actual confirmation that her mom is the one who sabotaged that visit, but that she feels that it is likely. She said that her mom had asked production if she could go on the trip to Bermuda. And production told her no, like you're not on the show, like we're not going to pay for you to go. But she thought that was unfair because the family remembers her more than they remember Monica. But Bravo also doesn't care to see you meet with your family because you're not on the show.
Right.
Monica told a story of her and her mom praying together that Monica would get a spot on the show, but she said as her mom started praying, she actually prayed for herself to get on the show. And my question is like, how much do we even believe Monica?
Right. That was my thought exactly. Was like throughout that whole story, like we have now seen how you became an assistant, like started stalking Jen Shaw in order to get on TV, and now you're saying that like your mom was basically trying to do the same thing, and like one, I don't know if I believe it, but two, like can you really fault her for that if you were doing the same thing?
Well, and like
minus the abandoning your kids.
Well, I also like we have gotten that video clip like probably since they've even filmed the reunion, but we've gotten that video clip of her and her mom talking.
Right.
Where her mom is saying like you need to be a better actress, you need to whatever. So it's like obvious that this was something they were like in on together.
Right.
I also don't put it past her mom. Her mom's a little kooky to have done a lot of these things. But yeah, like I think here's where I struggle. I don't know if this is just Andy like with a production hat on or him just trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but like even in part 1, he says to Monica, "I thought it was really raw and real and honest when you talked about how hard it is to be in this group of girls when you can't afford like the same bags that they have and like you like cried about the Louis Vuitton." I think like now what we know about Monica, we know, or I feel that that was not real or raw or honest.
Right.
I think that was a mockery of these types of shows. I think it was like satirical to like cry about a Louis Vuitton. I think it was acting. And so in the same way, like when we are not that like I guess it would be annoying to sit there and like say everything Monica says we're like that's probably not true, it's probably not true, it's probably not true, like actually on the reunion. But it's like why are we acting like we believe like I don't know that we believe any part of her like sad origin story anymore. I don't know that we should believe like any stories of how she's like been wronged because like how would we know?
Right. Yeah, I also think like ultimately if you can't afford a Louis Vuitton bag, you're not buying one. Like to be honest. Like yes, there's like credit cards and you pay it back eventually, but like even on my credit card, I would not purchase a Louis Vuitton bag. It would take me years to pay off a Louis Vuitton bag. Like if she truly couldn't afford it, she wouldn't have bought it. And so like it just makes like the whole thing like you said like silly.
Mm-hmm. So then we get some news story that Monica fell down Angie K's stairs at Greek Easter due to a combination of tears in her eyes, wearing high heels, and Angie not having railing on her stairs.
Which, where would she have put her railing? It was between two walls. It wasn't like floating stairs like in the video.
Well, but you put the rail on the wall.
Oh, I guess. But like,
yeah.
You put your hand on the wall too.
Yeah. Online, after that, Monica made threats that she could sue Angie for her home not being up to code. I don't really know that this applies to people's private homes.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine? Like, remember the night before my rehearsal dinner when our aunt fell down my porch steps because I didn't have the light bulb in? Like, could you imagine? Obviously, she wouldn't like sue me, but like thinking, like, oh my God, this house is not up to code. Like,
yeah.
What a weird thing to say.
Yeah. She says that she could sue Angie or make Angie pay her ER bill, but then we find out that production paid the ER bill.
Workers' comp, baby.
Then she says that, well, Meredith told me I could get Angie's house. And everyone's like, Meredith, did you say that? Like, Lisa is like, please tell me you did not say that. But again, like, why would we believe this?
Right. I believe that Meredith said it the way Meredith says she said it. I think that Monica told her and she said, like, oh my God, like she could lose her house over that. Which again, I don't think is true. But
I mean, unless you would have had to be very hurt to sue enough to take Angie K's house.
Right. But I don't think that Meredith said you could take her house. I think that she was like, oh my God, like you could sue her for that. She could lose her house for that, but not like you could take her house from her if you wanted.
This turns into a conversation about why Monica wants to sue everyone. And Monica is screaming in response, who have I sued? Who have I sued? Andy and Heather quietly and politely ask her, aren't you suing Heather? And she says, okay, but that doesn't count because it's only a response to Heather's initial suit. And then Heather tells us, like, yeah, but it's just a collections suit. Like, I'm just suing you to pay your bill. Angie asks Monica if she didn't want to countersue, why didn't she just pay her bill? Hey, Monica, do you just want to pay your bill? And Monica screams, no! With no clarity. Why? No. The answer is a vehement no. I will not be paying my bill. Instead, I'll be paying for a bunch of fucking lawyers in this countersuit that are gonna find that I signed a contract to pay this bill, so that I'm still gonna have to pay the bill?
Right.
What a great idea. Then, why in the fuck is Monica saying Touchet?
This, like, whole interaction was so wild. Like, admitting you simply will not pay your bill. Like, that you didn't pay your bill, which was the accusation to begin with, and saying that you won't do it. Then the pronunciation of touche as touchette. Confidently shouting that you have never sued anyone, knowing you are actively countersuing someone.
You are in a lawsuit.
Insane.
Yeah.
Because like again, like I said, like even after watching the finale, I was still like, maybe she's not that bad. Like maybe she's changed since Reality Von Tease, but watching the reunions is like painful because she makes no fucking sense. Like I don't understand what's happening.
It is literally like watching Jax Taylor, because like the lie just comes out and then she's like, oh, I've been caught already.
Yeah.
But it's like, it really is like she can't help it, which makes me not believe anything, because I just think all these things that she's saying that people may just not know are lies, we're accepting as truth because no one's called her out, but I bet they're not even true.
She's a cuckoo bird.
Yeah. Now, despite the teasers making us think that Jack Barlow bounced on his mission.
Lisa
that was
joking.
Lisa making a joke.
Joking.
I've never heard Lisa Barlow make a joke ever.
Said, oh yeah, just kidding. No, he didn't.
Just kidding. But he did delay his visa process because he sent in a shirtless ab pic for his visa picture, and it was obviously denied.
It's like she is such like a Kris Jenner mom. She's like, my son has wonderful abs, so like who can blame him for this? And you're like, what the fuck?
Lunacy.
I have just so many thoughts on Jack Barlow, and honestly, I think all of the women had very valid points regarding how someone raised as Mormon 2.0, who is clearly still living Mormon 2.0, will handle not only living a strict Mormon lifestyle, but preaching it to other people. I do think that that's like a valid question. And like, Lisa is so defensive on it, but like, you're the one who like admits that you don't like believe that Mormons have to like like that they have to adhere to the strict code. And like I think like my husband and I, when we go to church, we talk about there are some things that our priest says and like the Catholic Church believes that we don't agree with. So if my child wanted to like go see what it was like to hang out at a nunnery, I would be like, no, let's pump the brakes a little bit, because we didn't raise you the way that they're going to have you talk and think. And like, I just think that like you have to think about that.
Yeah, or at least like when you're talking to other people, like I just think
understand it.
She plays like it's so not gonna be a big deal. Like if my kid went to be a priest and I said, all right guys, my kid's gonna be a priest. So we're not the same anymore. Like my kid's different than me, and like I fully respect their choice to become a priest, but it's gonna be strange for me. Like she just acts like it's not gonna be weird. It's not. Why would it be weird? Right? Like she just plays dumb. It's weird. Strange, Lisa.
I think she's being overly defensive. When in reality, like they're really just genuinely like wondering how that's going to play out, because like he might come home and say like, you really shouldn't be selling alcohol. You don't know.
Yeah, I recently read Bad Mormon, which does make me feel a lot more for Heather's religious trauma. But it also, like, she writes about kind of some of the things she had to tell people when she was a missionary, and that like she had to go to French people and like tell them like, you cannot drink alcohol and you cannot be having sex and you cannot even have coffee. And like that, like she had to go tell these people those things and essentially like convince them of that. And like it is strange. It's a hard thing to wrap your head around, that like how is literal Mormon missionarying gonna go? Especially if you do it for 2 years straight every day of your life. You think he's gonna come home and have no like, I don't know, like muscle memory and try to like evangelize to you too? Silly. All right, we get Mary Cosby in this part 2. Such a strange bird. So Whitney is correct that watching Mary talk about how the other women are not growing when Mary has literally never changed ever is weird. Very weird. Mary asks if Whitney tweeting about her is a sign of Whitney's growth. To which Whitney replies, well, frankly, I tweeted in response to you tweeting about me. And Mary gives us a Monica-style lie where she says, I did not tweet about you. Well, other than when I tweeted that you're racist. And Andy...
like, that would be a tweet.
So that would be a negative tweet about Whitney, I think. I think that would...
It had her name in it.
Just like a countersuit counts as suing. This tweet counts as a tweet. Awesome. I also just like want to know, Mary Cosby who won't go into a gas station if black men are outside. What is your evidence that Whitney is racist?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it couldn't be true,
Yeah.
but I just need to know why do you think that?
Yeah.
But then the evidence is none.
Mm-hmm.
And she says that it's because Mormonism is like built on racism, to which she also tells us multiple times, like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
That's just the truth of their church. There's nothing wrong with Mormons being racist. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
But she also didn't say that Lisa, who is the only standing Mormon, was racist. She said Whitney was racist, who is the furthest, the most excommunicated, the most separated from the church at this point. Like, she is done. Her name is off the list. Do we not remember that, Mary?
Right.
Like, she
has no religion at this point.
Girlfriend.
I literally said out loud, strong accusation from Mary Cosby, who on her last season of this show said that an Asian woman had slanted eyes and a yellow skin tone, and then was like, I don't see what's wrong with that. I did say that. She said, I did say that. I don't see why that's a problem.
Yeah.
And then couldn't come to the reunion to face that.
Yeah.
And I look, I understand the idea of getting a racist vibe from somebody.
Yeah, nothing specific. It's just the vibes.
Yeah. I live in Tennessee. Everyone I meet has, almost everyone I meet has a little bit of a racist vibe.
The vibes.
But I cannot imagine tweeting about it and then saying it at a Bravo reunion, knowing that I have no evidence to back it up and am simply accusing them based on vibes alone. Like, I've always thought
or
that
a religion that they're not a part of.
I've always thought Morgan Wallen had racist vibes. But I didn't say anything until he said the N-word, and I was
until I had evidence.
I knew it. Yeah. And then I was like, I knew it. I wouldn't have said it if he hadn't shown.
Yeah.
But I do think that Whitney handled it perfectly, and a lot of people are coming for her almost, and just saying oh, you just rolled over, you let Mary get her accusation out. But I think that's exactly what she could do. She made sure that it wasn't something she had specifically said or done, and then she just let Mary feel how she was feeling. She didn't hit us with that I'm the least racist person in the world line. She was just I just wanted to make sure that I did not actually say or do anything racist that I need to check myself, apologize for, and learn about. But if you feel that way, okay.
Yeah, Billy said the same thing. He was like, no, Whitney, why are you so scared of Mary? Why are you
it's sad to watch, but what else is she supposed to do?
But I said that. I said, I don't know what else she could do other than saying, thank you for clarifying that there's not a specific mistake that I made, but also, and Mary said, I mean, seriously, what do you say in response to, you can't get how I feel unless you look like me? And Whitney says, okay, you're right. And I think, that's all she can do. Damn it, I was gonna say something else, and now I don't remember. Mary did, and this is back to, I'm not giving her praise. This is back to her being very strange. But then she quickly goes back to but Whitney, I have been liking what you've been posting online. You have been learning a lot. I think she was insinuating that Whitney has been becoming more socially aware online about racism. I obviously don't know. I haven't seen that, but so first Whitney's the only one in the room that's racist, but now Whitney's such a good ally and such a good, she's so great. And no, you didn't say anyone else is posting good stuff. So it's I'm not getting it.
Yeah, I just I cannot wrap my head around this woman calling Jen Shaw, who is Polynesian, right? A Mexican thug, and then being I get a racist vibe from you, Whitney. There's nothing you've ever said or done. I just feel it. But she's I'm not racist. I've never said anything racist in my life. And she's black people can't be racist. I don't think that that's the sentiment. I think that you can't be racist against white people. Is true. But if you're a Black person and you're spreading like misconceptions and stereotypes about other minorities,
other Black people too,
that's a problem.
But it's like no one, and again, like, this isn't to say that like someone who doesn't say their racist thoughts out loud can't be racist, right? Like, but it is rich coming from the only person on this show who has ever said racially motivated, like, really problematic things about people's races. The only person who has done that is Mary Cosby, and yet that's who wants to come for people with no evidence. She did. She said the Mexican thug thing. She said the slanted eyes thing. She said things about Black people. She even said, which totally fine to have a preference, but she even fought on that one reunion she was on about how her husband is white. He is not white. All because he's light skinned. She's like, he still fits into my preference of a white guy. Like, you didn't get to choose your preferences because he was given to you in a will.
Right. This is really, guys, you got lucky
that he was light skinned, and that him standing outside of a gas station wouldn't scare you. But like, dude,
but your own son would.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like,
and like, that was the thing that she didn't seem to understand why it upset Jen Shah either.
Right.
But like,
Jen was Shah has my kids.
Jen Shah has a she's not dead, has a dark skinned Black husband and darker skinned boys. Like,
yeah,
it's absurd.
Yeah.
Mary Cosby is a fever dream. And every time I'm like,
she said it's worse to say that my house looks like Seussical than to say that Heather looks at bed.
He's like, you did, let's just be clear, Mary, you did say Heather is inbred. That you thought Heather was inbred.
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. He said, Lisa's like, which one's worse? Obviously, my house is worse.
I would love for someone to say that my house looks like Seussical.
They will one day.
Here's the thing. I like Mary's house.
Sure.
I like her home decor. It's fun.
All Heather was saying is like, Mary's house is like Mary. Each room is different.
Yes.
She's got these like expensive vibes, but also fun, unique vibes. Like, chill.
Watching them sit in those chairs at the kitchen table, I was like, I love these chairs.
Yeah. Of course you do. Now, the women tried to break up Mary and Monica. But Monica did a great job at just screaming over the audio recording so that Mary could not hear what she said about her. Now, I will say the internet is like coming for Lisa. They're like, she ruins these fucking reunions. I guess they're like mad at her for going, get the audio. I love that.
Like the season 1 reunion when Heather's like, Lisa's running the reunion now, I guess. She's like, yes, I am. Here's what you're going to do, Andy. That shit cracks me up.
Yeah.
Because she can't help herself. Like, she literally doesn't even realize she's doing it.
Yeah.
But she is, like, controlling everything. And it cracks me the fuck up.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, she says a bunch of shit about Mary, but then she says she wasn't talking about Mary. And then Heather's like, then what Mary were you talking about?
Right.
And she's like, get your facts before, whatever. So, no conclusion on that. I mean, I'm sure Mary Cosby has been able to hear it since then in full. So I don't know if they're still friends, but whatever. But
she heard our podcast and she's talking about me.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess what she's saying is she may not have been talking about Mary, because then she just says like, I'm gonna DM it to Mary. So she could have been talking about someone else, but then said she was gonna DM it to Mary, but like that's a reach, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway. So my final thoughts, I guess, with Monica, kind of what I said earlier, she just defaults to the lies. So like, I don't like trust anything that comes out of her mouth. She's like, I didn't think I could be like Kim K. Oh wait, yeah, I did say that. I didn't sue anyone, but oh wait, like I did. I never said anything about Mary. La 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 la. Don't listen to that. And so I'm just like, I don't doubt that her mom sucks. but without her mom there to rebuttal and to
Right.
say, like, that's not true, I just don't know that there's any reason for me to believe Monica ever.
Right. Yeah. I agree at this point. I think, like, because like I said, like, it's not like I would be like disgusted to see her on my TV again, but like
You'd be watching
I
her
would
knowing
be bored because like I just can't believe anything you fucking say.
nothing. Yeah, it's like when everything's a lie, nothing's like tea. You know,
Right.
you can never drop a bomb because I'm gonna be like, seems fake.
That did not happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So next week it looks like we will get whether or not Monica was stalking Jen Shah, including the fact that she was monitoring security cameras inside of Jen Shah's home. I'd say that answers the question.
Yeah.
Right there. And then we will get the story of the black eye, which it seems is going to greatly upset Heather. But I refuse to let myself be tricked again. Yeah. I really thought Jack Barlow bounced on this mission.
So funny.
Damn it.
And the burn book.
Oh yeah, the burn book. I'm just like, honestly, I know I'm being like a prude and like such a little stickler, but like I'm disgusted by the burn. Like I just think it's gross. I'm glad I'm entertained, but I'm also like, what a freaking gross thing for Monica to do.
I do like this theory that it is DMs she has printed that the women on the show have sent her about each other. I think if that's what it is, I'm into that. Because
that'd be
then
so good.
she can be like, y'all are not better than me.
Yeah.
These are all DMs.
They are still better,
because she did
about
claim,
Angie K.
She said Angie K was part of it, but she did claim at the finale, like, y'all have all DM'd that account.
Yeah.
So if that's what it is, I'm ready.
That could be good.
I like
it. Very good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, that's all we got.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.